Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Gramercy Theater, and today we are here with Aenimus. Thank you all for being here.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you guys here. I've mentioned in my review that Dreamcatcher, your new record, is definitely one of my personal favorites of 2019. Do you just guys want to give a rundown on how the making of the record's been?
Yeah, sure. So it all started in the van. Our other guitarist, Sean, he had this concept of he wanted to have kind of like a conceptual album and based around like a couple Stephen King books like It, The Shining, and Dead Zone, as well as Silence of the Lambs, like the Hannibal series. So it's not 100% Stephen King, but so it's like kind of like that. Like we wanted to write about the horror novels and kind of make our music sound similar to that, like have it very dynamic and kind of create this similar vibe of all that. So
Awesome. Any of you guys want to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, and I think we came up with the name. Like the name was after a practice or something.
yeah, so Dreamcatcher, I was at Sean's house and we had just got done like practicing, and I was like, let's pick a movie, and I saw Dreamcatcher over there. I was like, that'd be kind of an interesting concept, like have the name Dreamcatcher because it's also a Stephen King book, but it could also like encapsulate the idea of what the album would be. Like all these songs about nightmares and how Dreamcatchers, seal in the nightmares and stuff like that. So it kind of had like a double meaning behind it.
Also, another thing. Well, I guess as far as lyrics, when I was approached with the concept, I was kind of like, I told him I wanted to make sure that the lyrics were ambiguous, so it wasn't like talking about blatant scenes from the movie or names. We didn't want it to be like kind of that. Yeah, I guess we just wanted it to be ambiguous. So if someone who doesn't like that stuff or know anything about those movies could still read it and kind of like relate to it. It's kind of like from the perspective of the villain, I believe, usually in the.
It's different. Yeah, different characters,
stuff like
different
that,
stuff.
but ambiguous enough that you could, maybe relate to it, or just lines about like dark stuff that we thought was cool.
And also like with the lyrics too, like I feel like they follow these stories and the characters and stuff, but at the same time they're almost vague enough to where anyone can kind of connect to it with like any kind of hardships you're going through in life or overcoming like certain obstacles or whatever. I feel like it's vague enough to where anyone can put their own meaning behind the lyrics as well.
Yeah, I thought, because to tell you the truth, and I remember I interviewed Sean over the phone before, and he mentioned that a little bit, but I forgot when I got the record that that's what it was talking about, and you guys just made me remember that was the concept. But I feel like this record is very open to interpretation.
Yes, absolutely.
We definitely want it to be like that, because it's, like, I think most of the time when you really learn the meaning behind something, it can almost ruin it for some people, and to some people who don't want to know or they don't even look into it, but they liked that one line that stood out to them and meant something to them. We want that to still mean something to them, because that's what music's all about, in my opinion, is relating to it. It's all subjective. So
Now, one question I had about this record, it's very, very heavy, but it is also very melodic. It's very technical, but it's very atmospheric at the same time. Is there something does each song call for a new approach, or is there maybe like a similar armature behind all the songs? Like, do you start off with rhythm first or riffs or?
For me, it's honestly, it just depends on the day, like I listen to a lot of different stuff. Like metal's at this point probably on the back burner as far as what I listen to. I listen to a lot of like, soundtrack stuff. Like I love John Carpenter's soundtracks for like his movies, like The Thing and stuff like that. Hans Zimmer. Yeah, I mean, there's countless others, but like, yeah, and like, to me, I wanted to just kind of create like kind of an 80s, because that's one of the things I listen to a lot now is like 80s synthwave, like Gunship.
Depeche Mode.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to be able to implement that in the music. I like pizza, but I don't want to eat it every day. You know what I mean? So with our music, I wanted it to be just as dynamic as, the stuff we listen to. Clean stuff, heavy stuff, atmospheric, having all those different vibes. It's not so much a conscious effort. It's more just like, my influence is just kind of like just coming out. You know what I mean? When I'm writing.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. Now, what I was curious about with the sound of Animus, do you think that your music, because I see elements of technical death metal, I see elements of deathcore, I see, with the clean and melodic singing, maybe some metalcore or whatever. So do you think that maybe your sound could appeal to multiple audiences?
I believe it absolutely could, and yeah, I believe it just leaves it a lot more open, and especially for touring wise. Like we're on tour with Flesh God and Hypocrisy, which like we kind of stick out on this tour, but I feel like since we have so much variety in our music, it will open us up for a lot of different tours. Like maybe we'll do a tour with Bela Maya or something, or a tour with the Faceless, like or something like that. Like this leaves it open for a lot of more opportunities, I feel like. And also, it's just like what we wanted to write as well.
Yeah, I feel like kind of like Jordan said, it wasn't a conscious effort, but since we all kind of like everything, that was not exactly like, oh, let's write this record so we can get on any tour or to grab fans from everywhere. But when we were making it, we were kind of like, oh, this is cool because we probably could do a death metal tour and then go do a prog tour. We might stick out on both tours, as in like when I say stick out, not like we're the best, but like stick out in the way, because we're not. But no, stick out in the way that like we differ so much from these other bands that like some people might go, oh, like where's the blast beats or not enough breakdowns, or some people maybe never heard that stuff before, and I think that's a big deal too. Is like some part of it makes me feel like, oh man, these people might be judging us because it's not what they like. Other people might be like, whoa, I've never heard a band try it that way, or been open enough to go look for it. But when they see it live, like for me too, when I see like, I don't listen to hardcore, I love watching hardcore bands. I'm like, damn, that was sick. I feel the energy, and I hope that that's what we bring on any kind of tour.
Now, from listening to this record for the review and everything like that, I think this record is an experience, just listening to it. But then also now you're bringing it to the live presence. For you guys, how different is it playing these songs live versus in the studio? Is there like a certain like studio mode, live mode, or when it's just playing the songs, like you just know what to do?
Well, I personally I like playing live way more than recording. I absolutely hate recording, and I feel like I'm from a artist or performer standpoint, I feel like I'm meant to do more live stuff than recording.
I think there's like it's like apples and oranges, like there's an energy that you can't quite capture in the studio that happens live. It's totally two different modes. I mean, you're very meticulous in the studio, like making sure you don't even like move your hand a certain way so you don't get a noise from the strings when you're recording. But live, it's a little more organic. It's more organic. There's just like a different energy. You want the tightness on the album. Obviously, you want to be tight live as well, and that's what we try to do. But we also try to like just put out as much energy as we can. When we're playing live.
Also, something important too with us, the way we wrote this record was over the internet. So how it started with Jordan or Sean and Seth wrote a song and some riffs too. They would send me like Guitar Pro. I'd program the drums, send it back with actual drums to it, and then they'd record guitars. Then Seth would write bass parts, and then they would do lyrics, and then Jordan did synths. Like that's a very like rundown of it, a lot more details, and it was really difficult, to be honest, to get it all lined up. But so the first time we played some of these songs in the same room together was like felt so weird, sounded so weird. We already had a mix down of the song. Some of the songs we haven't even played together yet. We can play them through together alone, but playing them in the room, like Jordan said, you don't have the energy to like feed off of, and like when I'm playing drums at home, I'm like this, but live I'm like this, because I want to put on a show. I don't want people. Sometimes people do say like, "Oh, you look bored," and I'm like, "Damn it," because I'm just trying to concentrate. But at other parts, when I have the chance to smash my cymbal or lift my arms up or stand up, we're gonna take those chances because we want people to. We don't want people to get bored by our music and our performance.
We want to put on a show. We want to give people a show.
And especially on this tour, with playing with these insane crowds that we've never really had a chance to play to, it's been like, I really have felt the most energy I've felt ever on stage. And felt really comfortable doing it because everybody's getting into it and having a good time, you know. Yeah.
And the final question I would like to ask you guys is, and this is always the most difficult question for any artist, and I really want to get all of your answers on it if possible. This record had a variety of different song lengths, I've noticed. So how do you guys know when a song is finished? Have fun.
It's a trick question. You don't. I think my dad told me this. It was like, you never finish a song, you only abandon it.
Yep.
Because like, there's been times where like I've done another album and like I listen back to it 6 months later and I'm like, wait, why didn't I? There's one song specifically. I'm like, why did I put that bass part there and not here? I should have just flipped it. And it's kind of like, it's been in the back of my mind just burning forever. So yeah, you don't. You get to a point where it's like, is there anything else I can say? And I think you either just have to, I mean, there's so many different like reasons why you might have to stop. Maybe it's time crunch and you're just like, fuck it, it's already 5 minutes long. Let's just, put an ending on it and be done. Or it's just like, yeah, there's nothing else you can really say in it. And then you just abandon it. So.
How do you know when a song is done?
When I get the final mixes back.
Okay, fair enough.
That's great.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yours was so deep, and yours was just like that was the best contrast. That was like the way you have the heaviest and the melodic side. I was like, that's the most beautiful melodic part, and that's the most in-your-face heavy part.
That's like a great representation of them as people too. Anyway, I would say for me, so I didn't write the songs, I'm the drummer, right? But I think sometimes when they would send me a song, the only thing and they'd think it's done, I'd be like, man, we could like maybe move some structure around. And that's all I have is like the flow because I'm the drummer and the feel and stuff. As far as my parts go, I could sit there and nitpick them all day and change them up. Like, what about this, Phil? What about this? Like shit like that. But mostly what I would try to do is just go for like the first iteration of the fill I heard when I first was writing the drums because I programmed them. But even when I'm writing on a kit, it's like, I like this fill. And then it's like, well, maybe I'll do it on the snare and tom, or just the snare live, but on the album it was the toms, stuff like that. I like change it up a bit. But for me, I think we knew when the songs were done when we like stopped. We just stopped paying attention to that song, and then we'd kind of be like, oh yeah, that one must be done because we're not sitting here like sending back for, oh, you haven't written your part yet. You know what I mean? It was like kind of when it was kind of a natural thing, right? Like it just stopped being the forefront of attention and we were on to the next one. We were like bored with this song, and I think you can either nitpick it all day or you can move on. Like Jordan says, you have to abandon it at some point because otherwise you will change it until it probably doesn't sound good anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing when to stop, I think with any art, whether it's music or painting or anything like that, knowing when to stop is the hardest thing to learn, but the best skill to have.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So before we go, I'd like to thank you guys so much for your time.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Is there just anything else with Aenimus? Dreamcatcher is officially out now. Is there just anything else with this record cycle that you would like to promote in terms of tours? Of course, if you're allowed to say.
Pick up a physical copy. It's after first week, but all sales are very important and vital for our future. And also just catch us on the road with these amazing bands until we announce the next tour.
Yeah, we don't have anything lined up currently, but we hope to do some more of the States. We're going to Canada tomorrow, actually, on this run. I don't know if this will be up by then, but if it will, yes, cool. We'll be in Canada. Never been. We've been to Vancouver once, but almost doesn't count because I live right there. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that, and we'd love to make it anywhere we can go. That's one of my dreams with music is to travel. We'd love to go to Europe, Japan, all that stuff. We really hope we can do it. Hopefully later this year, something like that.
Buy our shit. That's pretty much it. Yeah, just check out the music. If you don't like it at first, listen to it a couple more times. Maybe eventually you'll like it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Hey, thank you, man.
Yeah, of course. Everybody, we are here with Aenimus. Be sure to pick up Dreamcatcher, buy their shit, as you heard already, and we'll see you next time on Heavy New York.